I think we have a good quorum and we can begin our webinar. If you can hear me, just drop on the chat where you are listening from. As we start shortly, thank you for joining. As the presentation is coming up, please just drop on the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. If the presentation is up, team, I can't see it. Just confirm, Tanya, that you are putting it up. Thank you. So ladies, gentlemen, I have the pleasure to welcome you to this webinar. We'll take about 2 hours and we hope that these sessions will be interactive. We will be just, to maybe just introduce myself so that you know who is on this side of this virtual room that we have created. My name is Daisy Rono. I work at Impact Africa and I have 15 years experience in monitoring, evaluation and learning. I have worked with different organizations, both international and local, but most importantly, I have developed over 20 MEL frameworks, led over 15 evaluations in the course of my 15 years of experience. My key expertise is bridging the gap between technical data systems and public policy research. I also specialize in transforming data into actionable insights that satisfy both rigorous donor standards and national policy requirements. And that's me, and we'll get to know more about each other. Please tell us what your role is in your organization, as well as in the chat, as well as the organization you're representing or the country you're representing. I'd also like to just introduce Impact Africa. We are a consulting firm based in Nairobi, but with footprints across Africa. We work with institutions, enterprises, and development actors to translate ideas into measurable development outcomes across Africa. Our work sits at the intersections of policy, finance, markets, and sustainability, where public institutions, private enterprises, financial institutions, investors, and development partners converge to shape economic and social transformation. Our work actually spans across different sectors, one of them being impact assessment and M&D, climate sustainability, different social sectors. You can go back to the previous slide, Tanya. Organizational capacity strengthening, as well as private sector development. Across these practice areas, we support organizations to design strategies, strengthen institutional system, and unlock investment opportunities. Our work is guided by a vision to be the leading, next slide, Tanya. Our work is guided by the vision to be the leading development consulting firm in Africa, and with a mission to partner with institutions across Africa to turn innovative ideas into sustainable systems that deliver lasting impact. And those, we also guided by a number of like five values, one being integrity, accountability, client focus, leadership, and excellence. As I mentioned, we have footprints across Africa, and we have so far worked with over 20 countries in Africa and a bit of, other firms in Asia and Europe. We've also worked with, delivered over 200 projects in the course of the 10 years of our existence as Impact Africa. We have supported over 3,000 small and medium scale organizations across Africa. And we are able to deliver this because we have an exclusive access to over 70,000 consultants through our world membership, including 1,000 subject matters experts. We have M&D experts, private sector development experts, and experts spanning across the different areas of our work. I'd now like to just ask you to help us understand, what AI tools you use and are always curious about, so that then as we go along, we'll make sure we are capturing everything that is coming from you. We really want this to be as participatory as possible. And just before I welcome, or rather introduce our expert panelist, Tanya Waiganzo, please take a minute to answer. You can scan the QR code, give us your feedback, or there's a link also in the comment section. If you're not able to scan for a reason or so, you can just click on the link and give us your feedback. I'll pause there for 1 minute for that to happen. What AI tools do you use and are you curious about? Could be in your day-to-day work, could be in M&D, just generally. Please let us know. Tanya can be presenting what is coming from the team so that then we can all see on the screen. Yes, some responses are coming in fast: Perplexity, Manners AI, Gemini, Copilot, Chat. I think that should be ChatGPT. We have Gemini again. Let's see what is coming up. I'd like to see anything, any innovative things that you are using when it comes to AI. Keep filling in, keep filling in. We have Fireflies AI. Anything new coming? Let's see. Just a few more seconds before we can go back. Jenny, there's a Jenny. Wow, Napkin, Illicit, Grok, Notebook LM. Yes, DeepSeek, yes. Great. It's a great way to start, because then we are not talking of new stuff. These are things that you use on a daily basis. We just want to go deeper and see, do a deep dive and see how best we can harness this technology, this AI. As M&D professionals, we can no longer afford to sit in the sidelines. When these tools are being developed, we should be in the thick of the conversation. So really good to see that we are all aware of the latest technologies in AI. And so we can go back to our slides so that then we can begin and also save on time. Thank you for participating. I think now it's my pleasure to invite Tanya Waiganjo, but before that, I'd like to introduce her. Tanya Waiganjo is a data and AI professional specializing in the intersection of artificial intelligence, sustainability, and impact measurement. With a background in computer science and experience across AI automation engineering and data science, she brings a uniquely technical and practical perspective to M&D. Sorry, please mute. You can mute your end. Yes, so she has led the development of AI-driven automation solutions in the insurance sector, reducing operational turnaround times by over 90%, and built high accuracy machine learning models for financial data. She's a recognized innovator. She's a multiple hackathon runner-up in AI automation and prompt engineering, and actively contributes to building data-driven solutions that bridge technology and social impact. Tanya works in Impact Africa, and we are pleased today to have her share her thoughts around this topic that we are tackling today. Let's welcome us, Tanya, and you can take over. Ms. Weganjo, yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Daisy, for the great introduction. It is much appreciated. Welcome, everyone, to this session. As Daisy has mentioned here, we are about to talk about AI in M&E. And I like something that she mentioned, which was we can no longer afford to sit at the sidelines. Yeah, this is an emerging technology and it's changing the landscape across industries. And for sure, one of the affected ones is M&D. So let's see how we can apply AI to our individual context. So just an introduction. Well, traditionally, MEL relied on manual data collection, periodic surveys, and time-intensive qualitative analysis. AI now enables near real-time data processing, automated reporting, predictive analytics, and large-scale analysis of qualitative feedback that was previously too costly to undertake. So what are we saying here? Essentially is that AI is here to change the way we work, not replace us, but it is up to us to augment how we work with AI to supercharge our progress as far as M&E is concerned. So it's interesting, even before the advent of AI, something else that has been emerging is just the humongous volumes of data available now. I think we all live our lives digitally now. You work digitally, you school digitally, you have your social interactions online as well. And what this leads to is an abundance of data. So how do we as M&D professionals take advantage of this data that already exists online and on all these platforms and make useful and reasonable insights from all of this? And how we're able to process such huge volumes of set data is through AI, as it is too time consuming and expensive to do it manually. So if we were to look at the MEL pillars individually, under monitoring, we have what we are calling the traditional constraint. Here again, we're talking of periodic manual data collection, delays between events and detection, limited geographic coverage. I like the second point especially because sometimes you find you write a report, but by the time the report is coming out, the landscape has already changed. What you're reporting on no longer reflects the situation on the ground, if you know what I mean. So where can AI come in here? Here we're talking about real-time sensor and satellite monitoring, as we'll demonstrate as we continue in this session. Automated anomaly detection, mobile data collection with AI-assisted validation. So something really interesting I've been seeing recently is the use of WhatsApp AI chatbots to actually receive feedback from beneficiaries. And that's innovative, is it not? Because it means you're not actively in the field, especially if you're working with populations that sit in the peri-urban and urban areas. That could be something that's really, really useful. As far as automated anomaly detection, here we're looking at what data is coming in and trying to understand the patterns of this data. Is the data reasonable? Is it realistic? Are there duplicate records? All these things that would otherwise affect the quality of data that we are working with. Moving on to evaluation, traditional constraint being it being resource intensive, slow literature synthesis, attribution difficulties. I know we've all at one point or another spent enormous enormous volumes of time trying to understand documents, doing literature review, doing desk review, going through all these documents and trying to make sense of it and trying to paint a picture. So how can AI assist us in this process? So here we're looking at ML-based impact estimation. LLM-powered LLM is large language model, powered research synthesis, predictive modeling, and of course, automated reports drafting. As far as the ML-based impact estimation, I saw a study that was on RCT, randomized controlled trials, where instead of actually physically carrying out the RCT, there was use of a machine learning program. Not only was it accurate, but it was also timely, number two, and it was efficient. It was efficient in terms of finances. So it's also something that we could definitely look into going forward. Now we can talk about accountability, traditional constraint being feedback mechanisms underutilized or underanalyzed due to the large volumes, language barriers, limited reach to marginalized groups. So what's the solution to this? NLP for automated feedback analysis, NLP being natural language processing, which is an algorithm, a machine learning algorithm. Sentiment analysis, AI chatbots for accessible feedback collection. I think I have briefly spoken about that. pattern detections in complaints data. So imagine yourself in a scenario where you're processing large volumes of text data, completely unstructured text data. How do you get insights from this data without necessarily having to read through line by line? You can make use of sentiment analysis models, and what this algorithms do really is analyze the patterns in the text, analyze the patterns in the speech, should it be audio data, and actually it's able to tell the attitude perhaps of the speaker. It's able to tell if they're frustrated, are they angry, are they happy? And this is all important information because it goes to show perhaps whatever programs you're running, are they efficient, are they accurate, are they serving the people that you're intending for them to serve? That's just an example. Under that, there's so much more we could go into. And finally, learning. Traditional constraints being knowledge buried in unread reports, no cross-program synthesis learning cycles, or it's too slow. And what the AI opportunity here is automated knowledge management, LLM-driven cross-program synthesis, AI-assisted lessons learned, and predictive learning agendas. So really what we're saying here is it's very frequent that you find reports are written, but nobody really has the time, or it's too laborious to go back and actually read them. So how do we ensure that we're making use of this already written reports to inform how we go forward, how we progress? And one of the ways you can do that is through the use of AI, as we'll demonstrate shortly, to actually process. And it's not just per project. You could do this across multiple programs to synthesize large volumes of data, just give you really useful insights from that. So here we're talking about big AI. I'd like us to look at AI through two lenses, essentially, what we're calling big AI and small AI, both useful, forgive the terms. But when we're talking about big AI, we're talking about AI that's implemented at the systemic level. So think integrating satellites with machine learning algorithms, really, really huge projects that require significant investment. It requires a high level of expertise, but it's all relevant because I think it opens our eyes to the capabilities of AI. And for you and for us in our individual context, could perhaps learn something and find a smaller scale way of implementing it in our individual workflows. Predictive analytics and early warning systems. So this is something really interesting that I'd seen the World Food Program has done. This is a predictive analytics representing a fundamental shift from reactive MEL, measuring what has already happened, to anticipatory MEL that enables proactive program adjustments. So this is essentially saying that we are transitioning from reporting after the fact to actually anticipating the outcomes. And this is through the use of machine learning models trained on historical program data, climate records, conflict data, and economic indicators, which we can now use to forecast where, say, food insecurity will emerge, who is at risk, or where the health outcomes are likely to deteriorate. I think I would even like to go to this site if possible. Apologies. Yeah, but link seems not to be working, but I'd like to encourage each and every one of us after this session, please look this up because it's really useful. It's open data. All of us have access to this, and it applies in various contexts. So what the WFP has done is allowed us to monitor in near real time through the use of satellites. Food insecurity, you can look per country, by the way, and you can actually dig into how all of these insights are extracted using machine learning algorithms. So food insecurity is one that they're evaluating, economic shocks, climate hazards, as well as nutrition scores. Another great example is what World Bank is doing. This is AI-powered knowledge management and research synthesis. Development organizations generate enormous quantities of evaluation reports, learning briefs, and project documents that are rarely read systematically and even more rarely synthesized across programs. And AI is beginning to address this. What the World Bank has been able to do is set up a knowledge base where they have put in, and the World Bank is huge. They do thousands and thousands of evaluations across the globe. And what they've been able to do is take all of these reports, store them all in a single knowledge base, and have an LLM or have AI query from all these sources. So you, as an evaluator, as an M&D professional, could actually use the site to look up from all these thousands of impact evaluation studies to query the development literature in natural language, meaning just in plain language, in plain English, and receive aggregated quantitative research summaries with interactive visualizations, delivering months of analysis in seconds. So I'd imagine the technical workforce behind this project is absolutely enormous, but that shouldn't stop us from taking advantage of this readily information data. And now we can talk about small AI. I think the poll we had just before we began the session was really helpful because it shows me that we're already using this tool. So perhaps the question is, how do we use them in a responsible way? How do we use them in an ethical way as well? And this is what we're calling small AI. This is access to free or low-cost AI tools without custom infrastructure of any kind, without any kind of large budget. Just what are you using in your day-to-day? So you've mentioned some of these. I think I even saw some that I haven't interacted with personally, but the common ones, the common recurring technology seems to be OpenAI. You're talking of Gemini, you're talking of DeepSeek, you're talking of Grok. Copilot, we're also looking at Perplexity, Notebook, Kobo, DK, and all of these have different use cases. For transcription, for instance, I saw someone mention Fireflies, that's great. There's also Otter, there's Whisper. As far as qualitative analysis assistance goes, we're looking at Vivo AI features, Atlas.TR. Visualizations and reporting, you can make use of Gamma, Canva AI. I believe Claude also has that functionality. It's great that you're already using this tool. So let's see, how can we use them effectively or efficiently? One of my personal favorites or my go-tos when working with M&E data is Notebook. So I wanted to have a scenario, but put yourself in the shoes of an independent evaluator that is required to go through 60 documents, some of them being evaluations, some of them being reports, some of them being literature reviews, some of them being, all sorts and formats of documents. And you have been given 2 weeks to complete said assignment and come up with some really useful insights from that data. You could do it manually, or you could do it using a platform such as Notebook LM, and Notebook LM is great, and I will explain why. So what Notebook LM does is it simulates the use of RAG. RAG is Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is an AI framework where essentially all the references, so all the entire data source of the extracted insight is confined only to what you have uploaded. So it's a two-step process, step one being retrieval and step two being generated. So imagine the algorithms or the AI in the back retrieving data exclusively from the documents you have uploaded, synthesizing that information, and finally the output being sourced and cited findings across all uploaded files. And this will take you a couple of minutes versus the 2 weeks that it would take you to do this manually. And this is great. Why? Because if you use other generative AIs, and I'll give the example of, say, OpenAI. OpenAI has been trained on general data about everything. If you are to upload these documents and try and synthesize that information there, it would not only pull from the uploaded documents, but outside the scope. So it's previous training data. And what that would do is it would invite hallucinations. What we're calling hallucinations is where the AI is actually inaccurate because it's just ill-guided and makes wrong assumptions from your data. But doing it in such a setup, such as a notebook, you're able to really guide and give adequate context to the AI and ensure that the references cited are accurate, the data is accurate, and it's quick as well. So when we're talking about ethical considerations and responsible AI, it's important that we acknowledge that in MEL you handle some very sensitive data. And despite the fact that Kenya does not have an AI Data Act just yet, we do have the Data Act of 2019, and even that gives guidance on responsible data handling. So we are still required to be in line with that. And there's a higher risk with free tools. This very same tool that we've been mentioning throughout this session, there's a higher risk that your data is being stored on servers abroad, in Europe, in Asia. And sometimes these providers aren't very transparent about what they do with your data. This data could be using to train other models. Which is, there's a lot of black box nature around what they do with your data once it's uploaded. So it's important to just err on the side of caution. And one of the things you can do to combat that is actually subscribe to a paid tier or to a paid model. And what this does is that your provider will guarantee to you that this data is not stored on their servers and is not used to train other models. And should this happen, once you have a paid tool, you actually have legal recourse. So they would be at fault should anything or any misappropriation of your data happen. Versus with free tools where you run the risk of having this data exposed. And again, it's very, very sensitive data. I would go as far as even recommending when you're uploading said documents, remember to anonymize your data. Have no personal identifiable information, no names, no IDs, especially such kind of information. Just really, really refrain from uploading to AIs in general. You could also, yeah. So let's talk about transparency and explainability. So a key thing with AI algorithms and AI models is you need to be able to explain what is happening to your data. Which is why, for instance, the notebook LM, we've just broken down how it works. So should you be questioned, how did this data come about? You actually have an accurate answer saying, this is the process, this are the model. So it's important, especially when you're using this extracted insights and presenting it in reports, that you can back up your data essentially. So you need to understand what's happening in the background. I think M&D professionals are in a time where you need to become more technically competent to keep up with the changing times. It doesn't mean that you go off and code, but have a basic understanding of how all of these algorithms really work. Another key thing as far as ethical considerations is algorithmic bias and fairness. AI models can reproduce and amplify existing inequalities if trained on biased data. So should you or your organization decide to go down the route of training your own models, just ensure that your data is not biased or you have equitable samples of diversified data. The other thing is human oversight and accountability. All outputs must be reviewed and qualified by practitioners who retain full accountability for MEL decisions and outcomes. I think this ties hand in hand with transparency and explainability. You need to be able to explain how you came about this insights or what the model is doing. And then especially if you're using generative AI tools, ensure you're double checking everything again, just to avoid the risk of hallucination and inaccurate information or inaccurate insights. You're in control, you as the human in charge. So we have a couple rules of thumb here. It would be misguided to rush into AI for the sake of saying you have implemented AI in your organization or within your process. Instead, it's advisable that you start with a problem. So let the problem or the challenge that you're facing inform the technology you select and decide to implement within your context. 2, invest in data infrastructure before AI. AI will not solve your data problems. If you don't have, say, a repository of data, and I don't mean a shared folder, I mean in a database, in a callable state, you're not ready for AI at the system integration level. So ensure you have your data pipelines in check from source to visualization before you even start thinking of integrating AI models, AI agents, all of that. Build internal AI literacy across MEL teams. Again, it's upon us to try and keep up with the times, keep reading articles on AI in MEL just to inform us of some of the things that are happening in the domain and some of the technologies that you can also take advantage of as they come out. Apply an ethics-first approach to AI adoption. It's great, let's all embrace AI. I think it's an absolute game changer, but let's be ethical about it. Be careful with the data you're uploading. Ensure that you're protecting identities, ensure that you're looking at the outputs to ensure accuracy. And then finally, prioritize open source and low-cost solutions. So if you do decide to go the paid route, remember that AI tokens can get quite expensive. So just in the interest of financial feasibility, first explore open source models. Look at Gemma, look at Llama. What can you use there that's already open source, that's free, that you can implement, and low-cost solutions as well. I would also perhaps like to have us all have a call to action. As MEL professionals, reach out to your tech department, to your tech team, to your developers. If you see opportunity for AI integration within your workflows, have a conversation with them, let them tell you whether it's feasible or not, or let them be the ones to advise how you go about these systemic implementations. Yeah, make use of the resources we already have access to. That will be it from me. Thank you very much. I would like to open the session to any questions in the chat, perhaps.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you very much for the insights. We really appreciate. Just to remind everyone that we are live on LinkedIn. You can share the link to your friends, your colleagues, so that then, because we are not done yet, we are about to go to the next session, but I can see people clapping for you, Tanya. We can also ask that you turn on your video so that we can be sure you are not an AI voice. Yes, so that then people can relate with the person who was presenting. Yes, now we can confirm Tanya is not AI.
I am not AI. Hello, everyone.
Yes, so there's a question on the comments, Tanya, and this is Dr. Just as Uzim is asking, what is the maximum number of documents, size and number of individual docs that can be uploaded on a free notebook LM plan? Can I upload link to a Google Drive with all the documents in the link, and will notebook LM be able to read and process from that location? You can answer that as other questions are coming in.
Hi, Dr. Justice. Thank you for your question. So I think the limit right now on the free tier should be about 60 documents. I am unsure about the paid tier, but that's definitely something that you can just quickly look up. As far as can you upload a Google Drive link, I'm not particularly sure about that kind of integration, but I know that Notebook LM also has APIs. So perhaps you're talking of directing the API to fetch from your Google Drive, I believe. Yes, that is possible. Will it be able to read? It absolutely will, and it will actually be able to maintain a context of all that information extracted from those documents. Hope that answers your question. I
James
see.
Okonji has also a way in and say it can read from Google Drive. Thanks,
Yes.
James. Yeah. Any question, anyone wants to speak, you can raise your hand and we will unmute you so that then we can also hear from you. Feel free to raise your hand. There is one hand up. Let me just see who this is. Yes. I have unmuted, but it seems keep the questions coming as I work on this. Just unmuting. There's someone's hand. Is it Abu Bait? Maybe Cops team, you can help me unmute so that we can also hear from the participants. Also see the second one. We have a few minutes to just ask questions on this particular presentation. Dennis, you can unmute. I have disabled the restriction from my end. Please unmute and just ask your question.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. My question seems a bit far from the session, but related. Mine is about the integration of many languages, including the local languages to AI. Because the language of instruction that is mainly used is the English. I don't know if maybe other international languages. There are some that might be used, but mine is about the local languages because we might be trying to also get information coming from local speakers and then analyze the information, summarize, and that way. So I don't know if my question is related to what is in place or what is coming after this or was not there, but that's my concern, and that is it.
Thank you, Dennis. As Tanya is working on answering that, we can also hear from Abu. Abu, just unmute and ask your question. I have disabled the restriction from this end. Your hand is up and I haven't disabled, but okay, he's not able to speak for now. Tanya, you can answer that question from Dennis.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Dennis, for your question and I guess where you're coming from. So unfortunately, there hasn't been much research as far as developing LLMs for local languages, particularly Kenyan local languages. I know there are open source LLMs available for Kiswahili, so I can confirm that there are for Kiswahili. But as far as the more tribal languages, it's very limited research into that, unfortunately, and it's definitely a gap. I believe there are researchers working on that. I think Kikuyu and Luo might also have smaller LLMs available, but I cannot speak to other language or tribes. So it's definitely a gap. Perhaps what we could do is just make use of the available Swahili ones. I think it's a privilege that across the country, for the most part, we're able to understand Swahili. So yeah, you could definitely use that for translation and synthesizing even documents written in Swahili. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, you have answered, but the solution is what is. You have made
Yes.
the solution, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely a gap that has been noted, and thank you for those questions. I think it tells us they still work in progress. So Abu is not able to speak. Whenever you're able to, you can drop your question in the chat and we will answer. So we can then move to the next section, but just to please keep inviting your colleagues. We are still here for the next maybe an hour. And we are then going to hear from Roy Matheka. If there are no other questions for Tanya. We can proceed to the next session. I'd like to also introduce Mr. Roy Mateka. Mateka is our M&D specialist here at Impact Africa, and is also a MEL professional with a strong foundation in economics, statistics, and development research. He currently serves also as a sustainability analyst at Impact Africa Consulting, and he has contributed to many evaluations and research assignments for clients, including what we're doing with NITA, Hans Seidel Foundation, World Food Program, Swiss Contact, KELCOP, just to mention but a few. Bridging field data, level data collection with rigorous analysis, he specializes in transforming complex survey data into actionable insights that meet both donor accountability standards and program learning needs. Roy is going to present, during his sessions, and part of what he'll do is to show us a real case scenario. So we welcome you, Roy, to take us into the next session, and we hope the participation will be as high as how we saw with Tanya's presentation. Roy, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Just to reintroduce myself again, my name is Roy Mateka, and I'll be taking you through some practical work around in data analytics using AI and also quality control using AI. So I'm sure most of you given development research, or maybe you do field work, or maybe you are behind the desk doing some analytics. So sometimes the data comes in, and I think at times we spend a lot of time cleaning the data from the field. So I'm just going to pass you through the slides, and then we are just going to do some action live, and you are going to see exactly how I've been able to, and here at Impact, to implement a system. It's just a snippet of the possibilities. The system has AI in it, and it can look at data. So just quick, we can start, Tanya. Okay, next slide. And go to next slide. Okay. So if we've been on the field, we have some real errors that come from surveys, whereby you might find that enumerators are having zero distance. We have household inconsistencies. We have had scenarios where someone is saying maybe they have this number of people, and then when we do the household segregation, we find that the people are also quite they are not adding up. Maybe someone said there are 5 people, and then when you try to do that household composition check, where you are having how many men, how many female, you find maybe there are 7 people. We also have a case of GPS duplication. We have enclosed GPS where someone is taking the questionnaire from their house, or maybe they are faking the data, so on and so forth, all those things. We also have issues of invalid indicators. We have reporting delays. Now, reporting delays now it's on our side, where now we have, you take a lot of time. Sometimes you take, I remember from experience, there's a time maybe you take around 3 hours, in the evening. The enumerators have finalized their work around 9 p.m. So it's up to the data analyst to start doing the quality control, and then maybe they can take maybe up to, midnight, so that you can send the report by morning, and so that so it's quite a lot of work, considering all that work, it's one person is supposed to do it. And so what we are having here is something that can help mitigate these and go out and make it better. So looking at also, we have the loss of confidence, with the data, you don't know what is happening. And also sometimes the donor also needs to know how the data was collected through these quality control reports. And we also need to amend these mistakes as early as possible, especially if it's in the first week or the second week of collection. Next slide. Okay, so for the manual, so as the just said, sometimes you are looking at the GPS, the assumption is you are having around, there was a survey I was doing, and then we had around maybe 70 respondents, 70 reports coming in. And so you're wondering, how can you cross-check all these, all these data points collected by different enumerators and tell these enumerators what is wrong, check the GPS, check the start and the stop time, check inconsistencies in the household, and all that you are required within a window of 9 p.m., maybe to midnight or maybe even past midnight, because the report has to go on by morning. So this is one of the things that we can eliminate all that process by designing, a questionnaire from the start, putting the measures in place, putting it across AI and making it automated. So that's what we're going to look at. And then moving on to the next. So the solution here to that problem is very simple and very quick, And one of the things that I had an experience with was kind of sharing an Excel sheet, to someone who does not have a Microsoft account. They will not be able to see what is going on live, as they're looking at the data. They cannot track themselves on. So that's one of the major challenges that we usually face, because if I have to send you an Excel sheet every day, if you have to download an Excel sheet every day from maybe Kobo, so that maybe you run analysis and you run quality control, all that download or that staying up, it's quite a lot of work, and it's not something. And you also want to be able to share a simple Google Sheet with someone where they can see what is going on. And you even want to be able, to even send them an email, and this email is automated. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to, they don't have even to tell you. You can just time it. You can say, I want you to run the quality control at this time. If it's 9 p.m., run it at 9 p.m. So automatically, the script will pull the data from Kobo, put it in Google Sheet, and then send it as a mail to the respective person. So and in that pulling, there's a process of an AI in between that you have already given instructions on how it's going to undertake. I think I overrated this one. It's supposed to be, how many minutes can a computer take? Probably 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and then you have the report. So next slide. So how it works is very simple. So the data is collected from the field. And remember, the only reason why I'm choosing Kobo, you can connect with as many data collection possible. But the only reason why most of us development people choose Kobo is because we know Kobo is reliable. We know Kobo, we don't have maybe to subscribe if we are not going to an extent of a certain limit of, of individuals. So it's very much easier. And you can rely on it. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to worry about it going down tomorrow. And you can always share with as many people as possible. So my assumption is that you are moving from Kobo, right? We are extracting that data using a script. And once we extract that data using a script, the data will be taken on a quality check. You can even get a summary statistics there. How many people collected the data? How many people per enumerator? Locations collected. You can even have now the errors will now be checked by AI. AI will go around and see, okay, you said this, okay, let me see what were my initial instructions. What am I supposed to be checking at? Should the number, if you say the head of the household is a man, right? I expect to see that in the household composition, you are having a man present. You see that connection? So those are some of the things that we check. For example, if you tell me that you do not have electricity, on your expenses, I do not expect to see that you are saying you have an electricity bill. So those are some of the things that you tell AI, and AI will be checking on them. So even from the initial area, you have already defined this. So even as you go forward, it's very easy. You don't even have to worry about. So you have already figured what can go wrong, and you have given the AI a room to see also what might go wrong. So let's move on to the next one. So now we have quite a few things. This is just but a snippet of what this can check. Remember, it's a matter of an intuitive way of thinking. You're like, what do I want to check? What do I want to see? So you can check data completeness. You can have the missing key identifier. Maybe there's no phone number, there's no name. You can look at mandatory fields that they fill. You can look at, empty GPS, or you can look at GPS coordinates that are too close to be abnormal. The ratio is 3 decimal points. That one is very close. You can look at any other thing. We have logical consistency, for example, age versus education level. You cannot say like a 2-year-old maybe is in the university. Skip logic violations, household member counts, what I've just talked about, and also the electricity thing that I've talked about, and the household thing that I've talked about. These are just but a few cases that emerge, and we're just going to see how it all happens in real time. So plausibility, we have unrealistic durations. A survey of 40 minutes, you should not take like 2 minutes or 10 minutes. Something is wrong. So instead of me as a data analyst and this person behind the computer having to do all this, I just have to tell AI what to look for. I just have to tell it, look at the time, start time, and the end time, and then give me whatever you see. Tell me who that enumerator is. Tell me who the respondent is, and tell me what's wrong. And even maybe you can even send them an email. Now for the GPS, same thing. Also, we have same enumerator, multiple devices. These are things that happen. And what we want is, we don't want someone to stay on the screen for too long. We want you to be able to do other things and focus on other things, and also ensure that it's quality, because once the instructions are set, there is no fatigue, there is no, I'm tired or what, and the time is very minimal. Next slide. So the way we have set up this is just a demo system as of right now, just to show you what is possible. Now we have a quality control report that is generated within seconds. You have AI written comments and summary, but we have already told the AI what to look for. So this summary will be very subjective to what you have told it. We have also issues and recommendations. So it comes from Kobo, it goes to Google Sheets, it goes to the email, and it can produce a Word document. So the whole process is kind of automated. And for this script, you can just say the time, say when you want this to happen. If you want this to be happening in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, how many times per day do you want it to pull from the Kobo server? Whichever way. And remember that this process does not require you to be tech savvy. It's not a tech savvy thing. It's just a thing of a bit of connection here and there, and then you'll be good to go. So it does not require you. I'm sure I'm talking about scripts. I'm talking about things like API. I'm talking about, big things, but maybe AI, but it's required just basic knowledge and understanding, and then you can be able to integrate this process in your works. Next slide. Okay, so what the system does is basically, from the manual, it's slow, it's scattered, it's prone to human error. Personally, I've found myself in situations where we have had, you are kind of tired, so you might start sampling and looking, but now this one does not sample. It takes the entire thing and looks at it, whether it's 100 surveys submitted that day, whether it's the entire tool that was submitted. We have in like 500 or 500 questionnaires or 1,000 questionnaires that were submitted. It doesn't matter. It will do that work for you. But the instructions are the key thing. But if you already know and you have already done quality control, then you are well aware of what kind of instructions I'm looking for. And even from the design phase, you are already eliminating some errors that may arise. For example, skipping, where there are no responses, those ones you can restrict even from the design phase. So those are some of the things. Hours per second. So next slide. So a live demo will just do quite a few things. One, we'll test the connection, we'll pull data, we'll run a quality control, generate a report, and I'll send the report to my own email just right now. So I think that's it. Do you have a question maybe up to this point before we start the demo?
I can't see any questions in the chat so far. Please, if you have any questions, drop in the chat or just raise your hand and I will unmute you as Roy is setting up the demo. We can see Dennis again. You can unmute yourself, Dennis, and just ask your question.
Yes. Before I say my question, I would like to recognize Roy Madeka as one of my teacher on data analysis. Okay. My question was on inconsistencies in data. For example, how can you make sure that the data that we collect, for example, I use the GPS in one household, but again, you will find that somebody else came to the same household, took the data there without the system detecting, or without the system itself there. It happens in organization that we have worked without the system detecting and reject it from the start and leaving it coming into the system, bringing in inconsistencies. Then later, the output brings out that this data was was done by two, for example, two officers.
Duplicates.
Or
Yeah.
that's what I
Okay.
want to get clarification.
So Dennis, I think that's a good question, and you have actually explored, one of the things that it's all about intuitive thinking about the possibilities. Now, talking about what if someone goes again and collects the data in the same place, it's all about telling it, okay, one thing is that there is a possibility that an enumerator might collect data from the same GPS. So when you see something where the GPS is the same and the enumerator is not the same, you flag it. But it's just a matter of thinking and telling it, but it can do that. So it can block, like it can tell you what is going on. Okay.
It's good to know we have students of Roy here. We acknowledge you. Thank you for joining. I can't see any other questions, so Roy, you can proceed with the demo. You want to present your screen?
Sure. So just okay, so just confirm that you can see my screen, the one that I'm presenting on.
Yes.
Okay, so the workflow is very simple. So there's something that I had to do right around here, because one of the things is that it's so difficult to get data that is wrong. So what I had to do was I had to, generate some wrong data. So whatever you are seeing here, it's generic data. It's not real data from any place or anyone. I'm sure it resembles maybe names of people, contacts, and counties and things. But all this is generic data that was generated solemnly and purposely for this presentation. So we had to incorporate the errors so that you can witness how then the AI can pick out the errors and maybe send the email. So that's why that's the purpose of this data. So it's not live, it's not real. So that's why we'll have two things that we'll be doing here. We'll be having one where we pull in the data from Kobo, and then we'll have this already preloaded data here so that we can be able to see how the errors are being picked out. So we'll start with the Kobo extraction. Now this is a simple It's a simple document. Everyone has access to something like this. So these are simple Google Sheet. And what I can do here, for example, if I say pull the latest data, so you have to know that a script has been put in place. So there's some sort of an integration that has taken place for me to have this button here. I'm sure you'll not see it on your end. But if I say pull latest data, so right now I don't have, okay, I think I have one that I just submitted now. So we have this data that just been pulled here. And then I can even submit another one. And then I can have, and then I can select today's date here or any date, and then I'll submit. So once submitted, okay. So all I need to do is come here and pull the latest data. And now we have our submission. Just come here straight on. So it's that easy. It's that easy, but it involves a bit of API and so on, but you don't need to be tech savvy for that. And then I can even set the time and the date that I want this data to be pulled. It will just be refreshing automatically, so on and so forth. I can also test my connection. Is the connection working? Yes, my connection is very much live. And also I can set to daily pull at, this is 6 a.m., which is very much okay. I can also turn it off. So this is one of the ways, you can do it. Now, after you pull this data here, now I wanted to treat from the assumption that this data was pulled from, it's kind of, we have already pulled it, so it's active, right? Now, there are things now you can do here. We have already scripted because there's a process. We did not want to spend time scripting. So with these two, as you can notice, also the buttons are different right here and these ones because they have been kind of scripted. So from this point, I can run a quality check. I can view summary statistics from the data. And remember, there's an AI that is behind all this. So I can just see today we have maybe 50 submissions, 10 enumerators, 35 treated, 15 comparison. Who is the enumerator? How many they submit? The counties. You can also see the submission date. So this is just a basic summary statistics. You can also do the dashboard, and we can look at, we can select dates to quality control. So I can say, okay, assuming that today is this date here, date 23 right here. So I can run a quality control check. So it's kind of running. So 5 issues with submission issued. So let's see. So it auto creates these reports right here. And now you can see it has been generated on these dates. So we have an issue maybe we have 13 issues. And one of the things that we are having here, for example, household size mismatch. We have Oscar Kiplagat. The respondent was Zendingeno. And the issue was household stated a 9. They said there were 3, but does not match the sum of the composition, which was 12. Okay. Now, this is automated. Now, you can see here we have the detailed narrative by Grok, which is, I'm using Llama, which has already been integrated in the script. So by the virtue of clicking, I'm triggering an active AI operation. So that's what is going on behind the scene. So we have in here overall issues established. We have some enumerators are preempting the head of the household to be a man. Household composition does not match stated household size. Crop farming as an income source, but no access to land. We have also commendable areas, no cases of separate rooms being 0, good work. All interviews meet the minimum duration threshold, correspondent have phone number captured. And now we have the individual issues, okay? For example, you can see Esther Shimuli. And this one was, the person is it Oscar Kiplagat? Yes. So for example, Esther Shimuli, the respondent in E21B, time taken to the market is 101 hours for a distance of 3.5 kilometers. So this is very unreal. Please note that the duration it's not in hours, in minutes. For maybe this other respondent, in 18, you indicate crop farming, but B5, you state that you have no land for agriculture, which is contradictory. let's look at someone who is here below. For Anne, we have in A1, I think that person is. So we only have one enumerator being tagged for that date, which is Oscar. So all these are the respondents where he is having errors. For example, you have in A22B.9, you indicated electricity bill expense of 500, but in B8, the source of lighting is kerosene, which is very much contradictory. So this one is very much automatic. There's no kind of setting. It's just a matter of telling it what you are really looking for. So that's about the quality control. And you can even send the quality control via, via an email, and I can just decide I want to send, maybe assuming this one is today. So let me send the report to myself. So it's taking a bit of operation. Okay, so report has been sent successfully. So you can look at our email. Let me refresh a bit here. So here we have it. So it's labeled webinar. This was a label. So I have my report right here. So my quality control report is very much ready. Now, I don't always have to come and click. I can automate the whole thing. So if I want by 9, I have a report, I have already automated the data from Kobo to come to the Google Sheet. And then now from the Google Sheet to my email, it's quite very easy. I don't have even to do anything. I can always just check my email at 10 p.m. in the evening, and then I get all the issues, and then I can check them, and then I can send them to their respective supervisors. And this one also serves as a good thing while you are doing, because again, once this data comes in, you cannot delete it, right? You need to contact the enumerator and ask them maybe to clarify, because once you start data cleaning, you need to kind of fix these issues that you saw. For example, here, if you are to analyze this data with 101 hours, then the statistics would be misleading. But if you can call the enumerator and ask them, Oscar, what did you mean by 101 hours? Maybe there's a possibility that he thought it was minutes, and then he went ahead and said 101. And this has happened multiple times. So this is one of the things that we'll check for. So moving on, so you can run the quality control that way, and also you can go on to the analytics. Okay, you don't need to kind of download the reports, start seeing things. You can come here and get a descriptive statistic. You can decide, do you want to get a sheet? A sheet will be added just right here below. Do you want to get an email? Do you want to generate a Word document? Let me say, okay, I want my descriptive in my email. And I'll go just to my email right here. Let me refresh a bit. Yeah, so I have my descriptive dashboard here. And then you can see I have my headline, I have my mean monthly income, I have mean room, I have the gender description, I have the education, I have the dwelling type, I have the main source of water. So this thing I've just done it, has electricity, has land access. So it can just do for me, and I don't have to kind of do quite a lot. Can also get maybe a numerator performance. You see the way I'm clicking right now, I don't have to do, I said I don't have to do this. I can schedule it to always run at that specific time. So if I say maybe I want to look at the numerator performance, maybe right now, let me put it on sheet. So it will create a new sheet here right below, as you can see. And then I can see, okay, which enumerator do we have here? So these are our enumerators. They have submitted 5. Average duration is 42, 62, 67. Issues, this one, they have 20. So which one has more? And so on and so forth. So how many out of the submitted are from the treated? How many are from comparison? Spread in GPS, we have flags, so on and so forth. But these are just basic statistics. I can even go ahead. So I can send this one to my, to my email if I want to, and I can also get it right here. Just need to refresh a bit. And there we have it. So this is a descriptive, and so I can get the numerator performance here, and I can share with the relevant individuals who are looking at. So the analysis that you are seeing here, and how it's doing this. It's just a matter of definition. It's just a matter of me saying, hey, can you do this, do this, do this, look for this, look for this. What does it mean for you to flag an enumerator? You know, if the issue is 2.2, then flag them. For example, this enumerator is okay. You know, they don't have so many issues, you know. And then I can come back here and I can try maybe to run all analytics and put them in a sheet. Okay, so it's running because there's that model on the background. So it has to take a bit of time. So I can have a descriptive here. And now you can see we are having, okay, so we also even have, okay, so all of them have been created. So we have the descriptive, the first one here for everyone. So you can see who was treated, the comparison, the dwelling type, you know, count is 10. So even by something as simple as this, you can just get your preliminary findings very fast, you know, and even you can even go further and even get corrections from the enumerator and incorporate them without necessarily having to do anything. Because how would the process look if, for example, I wanted enumerators to tell me what's up? So it would be very simple. One, if I wanted enumerators to tell me what's up, this is what I'll do. One, I can send them a Google form. Okay, and this Google form, it can just be created by AI, you know. Immediately there's an issue that is contradicting. Okay, the enumerator responsible receives an email, okay, to correct the issue, right? And they can respond through a survey, which might be on Google Docs. Remember, when you do Google Docs, it will give you also something like this. You know, it will give you the respondents as something like this, right? And it can give you a response as such. Then you can tell the AI, I wanted to look into that. I wanted to look into that sheet that has just been brought, and I wanted to manipulate it and look against the issues that were found in the data and amend those issues that were found in the data. I don't know if you're getting that process. The whole process can be automated, even on the analysis, even on the reporting. It could be a whole chain where the data comes in, gets cleaned, it gets checked, quality control gets measured, the enumerator gets the feedback, they get the feedback back to you on what was up or what was wrong, and then you can amend it as you go. So I think that's the power that we are having in our hands, especially when you are using AI, you know, and this is not something you need to be savvy on, you know. You only need to know how best to prompt AI and how to talk to it, like, and what also you are looking for. Okay. So I think that kind of marks the end of my presentation. It was not so long, but very short, but I hope you learned something. But one of the things that we are looking at is we are looking to embed, as much as we are doing AI, we want to embed it into systems that are easier to use. For example, you know, you're very much aware that Google Sheets will not go anywhere. Kobo will not go anywhere. Your email will not go anywhere because, again, if we try to do Excel, you know, Excel might have a bit of, although we can call the data there, but the integration with the AI might be a little bit challenging. But with Google and its entire ecosystem, it's much, much easier to do such sort of a thing. So that kind of is the end of my presentation. And I hope you have gained something. And whatever you do, just keep learning, keep exploring. I don't know if
Before
we
you go, Roy, you have some questions. Thank you very much. You have a couple of questions that you can answer before you can finish with your, closing remarks. There's a question from Dr. Justus. He's asking whether you're using a plugin or something that connects your Kobo to G-Sheets. And a question from Alexia. So who writes the scripts? Is it AI or yourself? And if AI, which AI tool exactly? Is it the inbuilt? So you can start with Dr. Justus's question.
Okay. So the only reason why I couldn't show the backend is because maybe you have something like an API there, and also my Llama API there. So it can be a bit of complicated, especially when you are presenting to the audience. Now, what I'm using to get the data from Kobo is their basic API. It's very basic and available. So you only need to get the API from them. And you can always see it from, okay, I'll be able to show, but you cannot see it. It's kind of hidden. So it's here. This is where you get your API key. And then now you can incorporate it onto the other side. But I'm not using any plugin. That's the fact. I'm just using the API. Okay. So the other question was about, I don't know.
Yes, who writes the scripts, and is it AI or yourself? And if AI, which AI tool exactly? Is it the inbuilt?
So I just said earlier, I'm not a tech savvy, right? I'm not techie, and that's why I'm sharing this with you guys, because I'm not techie. So it's a possibility that anyone can do this. And what I'm using is, so we use an AI, that was Claude. You write the kind of the script, and then you do the rest it does for you. But you just kind of copy the script, and then you bring it on to the other side. So you don't have to know anything about the script.
So Claude AI can help you write the script, and
Yes,
then
but you can utilize any other AI. You can use Chat, you can use Gemini, you can use whichever AI you use. But just know that the script is kind of coding, but you don't need to be a coding major to be able to do what I've just done right now.
Great. I hope Alexia and Dr. Justus, your questions have been answered. I can see a thumbs up there. Thank you. Any more questions? Can you post the script? That is the prompt you used in Cloud here. Can you share the script? Actually, people are asking that you share the script. Roy, you can do that in the chats, as Tanya is also putting up back the slides from for the next session as we finalize. Roy,
so for the scripts, okay, I could share it, but it's not something, I don't know what to tell you. I'll have to remove my credentials in there, because as you understand, when you are doing a script, you'll have to remove your API, you'll have to remove your email addresses. So all of them are embedded in that script. So I cannot kind of share it as of right now as we are rolling. But you can always get in touch with the team at Impact, maybe the comms, and then they'll get in touch with me, and then you can get the script.
As we share the presentation, we can explore that because many people have also asked for the presentation. Maybe we can plan and then share the same. I hope that will be helpful.
Okay, so if you don't have any further questions, I think that will be the end of my presentation. And so you can always reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we have a few more minutes just to remind you that we are still live on LinkedIn. Please let's also participate, ask any questions, give us any insights based on your experience, because I realize we have many professionals here. One other thing we had promised to share with the audience here is how we as Impact Africa are using the open data for MEL practitioners generally, and so it will take a few minutes to just share and give our experience in terms of open data AI. So Tanya, you can go to the next slide so that then I can go right into it. Please don't drop off. I think this is one important aspect. Having learned how we can actually collect data, analyze data, how then can we ensure this data is available for decision-making processes across our development sector. So we thought it was important to just discuss data openness, which is the availability of data in a format that can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone. So according to the International Open Data Charter, there are two aspects to look at when you're talking about open data. One is legal openness, that is the mandate. Data must be in the public domain or under an open license to be considered an open data. It should also eliminate transaction costs, and there is no permission needed, as we will see in some of the examples that we will share here. So here we are saying if you can't legally reuse it, it isn't open data. Secondly is around the technical openness, that is the infrastructure. Data must be machine readable, as I think we've discussed, rather than just human readable. You find that most of the data available, whenever you search, you can get it on either PDF, GPG, but for data to be considered open data, it must be machine readable, you know, and in formats such as CSV, XML, and what have you. And here also we are saying a PDF is a data dump. Technical openness enables automated analysis without manual entry or OCR scraping. So that just as an introduction to show us what is actually considered data openness. In our next slides, there is what we call the FAIR principles. You can go to the next slide. Oh yes, and maybe to just why open data, why is this presentation even relevant today, is that we have seen that open data can reduce data friction. Number one. Secondly, it can attract investment, as we can see that you can use open data for fundraising. It also drives interoperability, which is having standardized formats allow automated merging of diverse data sets. You can actually compare, you know, health and economic data across different fields. Fourth, you ensures data sovereignty, provides accurate local data to global AI models, actively preventing algorithmic bias. So I think the slide that I was talking about is coming in next, Tanya, on FAIR principles. For actually, we have a quality framework that guides open data. For data to be considered open, it must be fair, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Fair meaning that metadata and stable URL, can you locate it, for example, in 6 months? Or you can use that data today, 1 year down the line, you want to come back and the data is no longer there. That is one. Secondly, are they accessible in the format that we have mentioned? And is there free download where you don't have to pay or have an API key for you to log in into the system where the open data is hosted? I'm normally so, you know, I have difficulty always pronouncing this interoperable. So is it in those formats? Can it merge with your project data, for example? And is it reusable? Most importantly, can you publish these findings that you have, you know, access in the open data system? So those four principles guide the open data framework. And then we can now go to the next slide to just, Tanya, see what is happening across the continent. According to the open data inventory, the score, how this is scored actually is for you to really assess and see whether the open data, if you are looking to, for example, come up with an open data platform, you have to consider two main things. That one is coverage, and secondly is openness. On coverage is data presence over time, like over the last 5 to 10 years, and also considering geographical disaggregation. Secondly, the openness of the data. And you evaluate 5 technical criteria: the machine readability, non-proprietary formats, where you don't have to pay for the, you know, your access to it. Metadata availability, I think we've talked about that. Download options, can you download in bulk or in APIs? How is that like in terms of openness? And the terms of use should be clear and has the open licensing option. So that is what is currently happening in Africa. And we can go to the next slide so that then we can see examples of this system. But before that, maybe we can just to say in Africa, Morocco currently, if we go by, you know, the coverage, the criteria that we have just seen, currently the first African nations who are above 70% are Morocco and Burkina Faso and Senegal. And they are at 77, 76, and 75 respectively. So we might not be there yet in Africa, but there are countries that are already ahead. And over the last, between 2022 and 2024, the data openness in Africa improved by 23%. But there is one key challenge that is still there. 90% of government data remains dark, trapped in non-machine readable PDFs. So that is the main challenge. And as much as there's improvement, there's still a lot to be done when it comes to open data in Africa. We can go to the next one. If we come closer home, I know we have countries beyond Kenya, but we wanted to just use an example that we have been referring to here internally. There is an agricultural market information system that is really working well for the farmers of Kenya. And this system is from the Ministry of Agriculture. It's an open data, and I will shortly just, it's an open data platform, and I will shortly maybe post the link here so that then you can also explore on your own. But really what we are saying is, what can you use this open data for? One, you can use them for baseline assessments. You don't have to go, collecting data where data already exists. Secondly, they can be used for adaptive management and for even impact evaluation. So if you are, for example, in the agricultural sector, whether you're a development actor, whether you're a private sector actor, you can always use this open data availability for those purposes that have been mentioned. But most importantly also, and we can go to the next slide, Tanya, to also see more examples of how you can use this available data for your M&D work. One is for literature reviews. I think Tanya had already shared with us some of the examples. I posted them in the links. You can use World Bank data, for example, to understand what has already been funded and identify gaps before designing new programs, And we have also said that you can use, fundraising and proposals. Whenever you are coming up with your statement of need, you can use evidence, from reputable open data sources that are available. And of course, again, you can use it for context monitoring, where you can deploy the satellite imagery and climate data to monitor environmental shocks affecting project outcomes in real time. Anticipatory M&D is a thing now, and I think this is what we can use it for. I don't know whether I have any more slides remaining. But we can then go to the next session. Done. This is just showing you how open data sources can align and even show us how we can track our road to the main frameworks like the SDG and the Vision 2030. We don't have to go through that. We will share the slides. I think the important sections have been mentioned. To just mention and give an example of what is available so that then you can explore in your own time. There is a regional agriculture trade intelligence network. It's called RATIN. And this is a real-time and historical cross-border trade volumes. You can get a real-time historical cross-border trade volumes here for both East and Southern Africa. Please explore that, and you can always use it in your work. We also have within Africa the DHIS. You can have anonymized health indicators there, available, open data, and many others, as you can see, where you can also get a high-resolution satellite imagery for remote M&D to verify tree planting or infrastructure claims from your desk. So apart from what we have shared earlier around AI, there is already information that exists. You don't always have to go to the field to collect data. I think we can, up to there, Tanya, I don't think I have any more. This is just really emphasizing what we have already said. We will share the slides. Those are examples of existing open data. As I end, I just want to say in Africa, we are no longer data poor, we are insight thirsty. I think there's some critical punchy lines there, Tanya, yes. And as we close these sessions, we really want to say the data is there, go find it. And if it's not in a format that you can use it, clean it then and triangulate it with other sources and act on it in terms of decision making. Because at the end of the day, we don't just collect data or do all this analysis, but we need to use them to improve the livelihoods of Africans and beyond. Thank you very much. For those who joined late, I just wanted to say thank you for making time for this meeting. We just have maybe to let you know what Impact Africa do in terms of impact assessment and M&A. The team that has presented today as a part of a greater team of monitoring and evaluation team in Impact Africa. We support organizations to strengthen their M&A systems so that programs generate credible evidence. And we use all these tools that you have seen and even more that we have internally. So our work include capacity assessment, design, strengthening of results frameworks and data system. We even support in proposal writing processes where we come up with a result framework, theory of change for your organization. So feel free to reach out to us in the contacts that we have provided. And apart from just capacity assessment, we also do impact studies, evaluation. We help you design your system, your MEL system, and strengthen whatever is already available. We conduct data quality assessment and third-party monitoring for objectivity purposes. We also facilitate learning and adaptive management. We have facilitated a lot of learning workshops across Africa. We also are very we are the experts in analytics and strategic foresight that we can work with the organization to bring out, to awaken, the existing data, those data that are maybe in a repository and are not being used. We can help you make sense of it through the processes that, some of the processes that we've even shown you today. Yes, that in a nutshell is what the M&A Department of Impact Africa do, but we do a lot more. And as we started with a poll, we would also like to just finalize with a poll. Kindly scan the QR code on your screen, but you're also sharing a link just in case you are not able to scan. Give us one key takeaway. What's your biggest takeaway from this session today? Please share your thoughts and comments. We'd be happy to hear from you in the few minutes remaining, as I also pause to see whether there are any questions that are coming up, any insights, any comments, clarification, not just around the presentation, but even generally on what Impact Africa is doing. And maybe I can pause to see whether we have any questions as you scan what is on the screen. Great presentation. I'm not an M&D specialist, but would love to know if you offer M&D training at Impact Consulting. Yes, definitely we do. Please reach out to us. Thank you, Pauline. Very insightful presentation. I'm really impressed. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Please give us your feedback. I think the presentation, as you can continue presenting, Tanya. I don't think people are done giving us their feedback. Also still looking for questions, and sorry for rushing through the last few minutes. We needed to keep your time. We are aware it's also a Friday. Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, keep sending your feedback, pulling down new data. Okay, that is good. Well-informed panelists, thank you. Thank you for the great content. Thank you for your feedback. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. You also have our email addresses in case you have a specific question. Feel free to drop there. If you have a specific question, we can give it another 2 to 3 minutes, but also happy to get any other questions from the chat. How to optimize AI tools like Notebook LM, and also love the practical use of Google Sheets and Kobo integration. That definitely was a high note. Thank you for sharing your feedback. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And Dennis, your hand is up. Is it the old hand or it's a new one? You can unmute.
The old hand.
Okay, it must be tired. You can put it down now. Yeah. And so that you also confirm I'm not AI, let me just put my video as you continue to give us your feedback. We appreciate. Thank you, Dorcas. Very grateful session. Great session, quite insightful and capable panelist. Great. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that feedback. We appreciate. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Any particular questions? What was not clear? Please also feel free to let us know. Yeah, great. Very knowledgeable presenters on how to apply AI. If you get any job opportunities, consider informing us, especially vacancies in the workplace. Follow us on our social media. Our comms team can actually post our LinkedIn. If you're not following us already, please follow us. We have many other webinars lined up, not just on M&E, but also just generally in the development sector. So we'll be happy to interact with you in our future events.
So maybe Daisy, as the comments come in, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, clearly, Roy, we can hear you.
So as the comments keep coming in, which also we very much appreciate, it's also good to get feedback on, the presentation. So one of the things that I've been thinking, and maybe it could be a thought for you and a takeaway, from this presentation is, so what now is the future of M&E? What is the future of M&E? Because now the old model of doing things, for example, where we talk about the quality control, that might be over. The downloading of the data, that might be over. The moving from taking 2 weeks to get a report out, that one might also be over. So the question is now, what is the future of M&E, and who does this future belong to? So my word for you is just to tell you, try to adapt as much as possible. Try to see in whatever you do every day, how best can you integrate AI in what you are doing? How best can you develop a system, but you can always reach out to us? How best can you integrate this system into what you do every day? Because at the end of the day, what we are looking at is the M&E sector will be more of, we'll have a super team, a supercharged team, a supercharged team that works with the AI, and now the OG team that might be a little bit slow. But what we see is that for you to be able to best work with AI, you have to have a ground knowledge a bit about AI. You have to have had a bit field work and stuff so that you understand exactly what you are pointing to the AI. Because it's not about you getting into M&E and just trying to solve the problem that you don't know exists. It's about you facing the problem and asking yourself, okay, so how do I solve this problem with AI? Otherwise, that was my 2 cents, and I wish you well in your next adventure with AI and M&E, and I believe it's going to be a big one. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you, Roy. Well spoken, like a teacher. You have your students here also. So really forward thinking is what Roy is saying, and adapting to the emerging technologies, be up to date. Thank you, Roy. Tanya was also one of our panelists. Do you have a parting shot before we finish?
Thank you, everyone, for taking time out on a Friday afternoon, especially to come and listen. Above all else, we hope that you've been able to pick something that you can apply in your individual context. Should you need any support, please do not hesitate to reach out to Impact. We will figure out a way. Yeah, so just embrace AI. I think it's here to stay. Don't get left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for making time for this session. We really appreciate. This marks the end of the webinar. Until the next time.